Okay, so now that we're set up for iterative calculations, we're going to start creating the actual experiment of simulating drawing 5 cards from a fair poker deck of 52 with replacement. So I like to use this area up here to indicate that. So in cell B2, I'm going to type card number 1, and then in cell C2, card number 2. And then we're going to show off how clever Excel can be. We're going to highlight cells B2 and C2. We're going to grab this cool little square here in the bottom right corner, and we're going to drag it across, and it's going to show us card number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is pretty slick. All right, I'm going to start right now just some formatting. I'm going to left-click this corner rectangle, and then I'm going to center everything in the document. And I'll do some of this formatting as we go along. I'm going to go ahead and bold, italicize those guys right there. So at this point, what I want to do is I want to randomly simulate drawing a card from a deck that's half red and half black. So to do that, I'm going to use the rand between command. So in cell B3, type equals RANDBETWEEN, rand between, and then parentheses 1, 2. Actually, you can use any 2 sequential integer values. I just always use 1, 2, and select enter. And now every time you press F9, you'll get a new random 1 or 2, depending on what the little algorithm tells it to do. Pseudo random, I guess. Now, similarly to what we did up top, we're going to grab that 2, or excuse me, not that 2, we're going to grab that function, and we're going to drag it across to the other 4 cards. So now what you have is you have 5 draws. So right now, 3 2s, 2 1s, F9 again gets us 3 1s, 2 2s, F9 again, 3 2s, 2 1s, and so forth and so on. You can hold down the F9 button and watch as the cards cycle, which is pretty slick. Now, essentially, and this is something you'll do with your students, you need to understand that the F9 button, every time you press it, it's like repeating the experiment, which consists of 5 card draws. So it might be easier over here if you type something like in cell H2, number of red in the current draw. Whoops, spell current correctly. Then I'm going to make that big enough to see it. And then in this cell right here, we can type equals. This is a cool command called the COUNTIF command, COUNTIF. And what we're going to do is we're going to count if, and then left parentheses, select the range of values you want to count within, hit a comma, and then say which number would you like to count. So let's define this right now. Let's say 1 is a red card and 2 is a black card. So I want to count reds, I want to count 1s, close the parentheses off, press enter. Right now, in that series of 5, you have 1 red card. If I F9 randomize again, I now have 0 red cards. If I F9 randomize again, I have 1 red card. If I F9 randomize, I have 3, and so forth and so on. At this point, it becomes easier to see what's going on in each experiment. We'll make it even more obvious as we go through the remainder of the setup. But right now, before we go anywhere else, let's save our file somewhere obvious. Save it on my desktop. And we're going to call this pull a red card. Save. And then next up, we're going to dress up this a little bit and make it a little more appealing.